The day I left the Liam residence, Liam leaned against the doorframe. Watching me pack my luggage, he smirked. Well, realized that even having a child couldn't force me to marry you? So you think he's useless now, leaving without even taking him? Before I could speak, Leo, who had been eavesdropping at the door for a long time, came in. He carefully poured the money from his piggy bank into my hand. Mommy, you need to take good care of yourself, okay? And, could you promise me something? Promise you'll never come back. Aunt Sophia said she'll only agree to be Leo's mommy if you leave completely.
Welcome to listen to my full sweet love series novel. I'm the blogger and I'm Twilight's novel. Now let's start the main story.
After saying this, Leo blinked his dark moist eyes at me. His expectant mood was practically overflowing. Liam lowered his voice, a warning hidden within. Leo, did school teach you to speak to mommy like that? Leo lowered his head, pouting his lips. But last time, when Aunt Sophia asked Daddy if he liked mommy, you said you didn't like her either. Then Leo doesn't really like. If mommy wants to leave, then let her leave. I was long past being hurt by these words. A week ago, for his 6th birthday, he had thrown a tantrum, insisting on celebrating with Liam and Sophia together. It seemed I suddenly stopped being so insecure. I didn't have a single thought of stopping him, even when I passed that restaurant in the evening. Hearing him introduce Sophia to the violinist as his mother, my heart remained calm as still water. As I was squatting down to pack, my line of sight was level with little Leo. I accepted his money and nodded slightly. Okay, I promise you. I didn't call myself mommy anymore, saying quietly, I won't come back to this home. And I won't be your mommy anymore. Leo, you're free. He seemed surprised that I agreed so easily, staring at me for 2 seconds. Then he laughed. Yay! Then Aunt Sophia will be my mommy from now on. He ran out as he spoke, saying he was going to call Sophia to share the good news. I packed the last piece of clothing, closed the suitcase and stood up. Liam had been silent since a moment ago, but as I brushed past him, he grabbed my arm. His eyes were half lowered. His emotions unreadable. June, not liking doesn't mean hating. Over the years, I've gotten used to you. What exactly are you making such a fuss about by insisting on leaving? By the end, a hint of irritation tinged his voice. I wanted to say something, but it felt unnecessary and overly sentimental. So I just pulled my arm back and instructed, take good care of Leo. I dragged my suitcase out of the Liam residence. Leaving the villa area required walking a long stretch of road. The weather wasn't great either. A cold wind swept fallen leaves onto me. It seemed easy to end up looking disheveled. But still, I never once looked back. I had rented an apartment in advance and found a job. Based on my previous major, I applied and got a job as an interest class teacher at a children's art institution. On my first day at work, walking into the office, I saw several female teachers crouching in front of a little girl. Zoe, dear, does your uncle like sweets? And what kind of girls does he like? Right, Zoe sweetie. Will he come pick you up tonight? The girl was expressionless. Teacher, you called me over saying you had something about my painting style to discuss? The teachers looked at each other awkwardly. Since there's no problem, I'll go back to the classroom. The girl turned around and saw me. She greeted me indifferently. Hello, teacher. Then walked straight out without a glance. The teachers were very friendly to me, the newcomer. After introducing the work procedures, they started talking about the girl again. You probably don't know, this kid's uncle is Ethan. He and Liam are called the city's most eligible bachelors. Oh wait, that's not right. I heard Liam is already with his long-lost love Sophia who returned from abroad. Now only Ethan is left. Hearing Liam's name again, I was calm as if I didn't know him. But Ethan. I sighed silently. He was Liam's sworn enemy. He used to dislike me intensely. Every encounter inevitably drew his sarcasm. Pathetic enough, huh? Liam and Sophia's kissing photo is all over the hot searches, and you don't dare make a peep. What can you get from following Liam? Status or position? June. Can't you fucking look at other people? Better to stay away from the girl named Zoe. If Ethan found out I was here, He might use his connections to get me fired from the institution. Liam called me when I was squeezing onto the subway after work. Hello. The noise on my end made him pause before speaking. After a few seconds he asked, "Where are you?" "On the subway." He chuckled, barely audible. "Squeezing onto the subway? June, this is what you get for your own stubbornness." Holding onto the handrail, I just asked, "Did you need something?" Even affected by the static, his footsteps sounded unhurried. Like the man himself. I could even picture him walking from his desk to the floor-to-ceiling window. "Leo has a fever," he said. "Give me your address, I'll pick you up and bring you back." "No need." I lowered my eyes. "The Liam family will take good care of him." "He doesn't need me." Liam's voice deepened. "Do you really plan to abandon him?" "June." He sounded incredulous. Just because he said he likes Sophia better? Liam never seemed to understand my feelings for Leo, even though I'd explained countless times. The night of the accident, I took emergency contraception, yet he still didn't believe me. Because I'd liked him for years. He was convinced I deliberately got pregnant with Leo to force him into marriage. In his view, my feelings for Leo weren't deep. Just a tool, or a bargaining chip. So he didn't know that, afraid Leo would like Sophia more and more, I had endured countless days and nights of collapse and insecurity. The subway reached a hub station. The carriage instantly emptied by more than half. "No, Liam." I found a seat and sat down. My aching legs got a temporary reprieve. I said softly. "Because he really does like Sophia better. And I don't want to force myself anymore, to exhaust myself trying to please him." Liam wanted to say something else. The next second, Leo's voice came through the receiver, confirming my words. "Daddy, my fever broke. Does that mean I can go play with Aunt Sophia tomorrow?" Liam's throat moved. "June, listen to me." I hung up the phone. I got off at the next station. Pushing the last call out of my mind. Leo paused for a moment when he heard Mommy's name. He didn't insist on Sophia anymore. Instead, he tugged on Liam's pant leg and asked, "Daddy, was that Mommy on the phone?" Liam nodded slightly. "Oh, did you tell her I was sick? Is she coming back to see me?" Liam looked into those round, adorable eyes. He finally grunted an affirmation. "Then Leo will go put on a mask, so I don't infect Mommy. And then we can go play with Aunt Sophia." He didn't seem that resistant to seeing Mommy after a week apart. Liam pressed his lips together tightly. "Mommy is working overtime." I didn't tell her to come back. Leo, still wearing the fever patch on his forehead, blinked. "Well then, going to see Aunt Sophia first is fine too." He showed no sign of disappointment. After all, Mommy would definitely come back to see him. Whenever he got sick since he was little, Mommy had been the most worried. He was just a bit surprised. After all, before, even if Mommy was abroad, she'd fly back overnight if she heard he was sick. After a week of work, I was basically settled in. Even though Ethan never showed up. Just in case, whenever parents came to pick up their kids at the institution, I preferred to hide in the office grading paintings. Only once, Zoe was absent. I went out with colleagues to see the students off. Usually, I tried my best to treat everyone equally. But she still sensed the difference. That day, Zoe was clearly in low spirits. During break, she rested her little chin on her hands, gazing out the window. A few boys chasing each other accidentally knocked her over. They ran off without apologizing. I immediately went over and crouched in front of her. "Are you okay, Zoe? Are you hurt? Let teacher see." The girl covered her knee, wouldn't let me see, and turned her head away. "Don't trouble yourself. I'll ask another teacher for a band-aid." I was stunned for a moment and said gently, "Teacher June has some too." "I don't want yours." Her round back of the head radiated stubbornness. "I know you don't like me. You don't have to pretend to be nice to me." I was surprised. "Teacher doesn't dislike you at all. You're well-behaved, polite, talented at drawing. How could teacher dislike you?" Zoe glanced at me quickly. Then turned her head again, muttering softly. "That day, when Teacher Lee asked you to see me off, you refused as soon as you heard it was me. And a few days ago at lunch, I didn't want to eat with those teachers, so I brought my bowl and sat next to you. but you finished eating and ran off." After speaking, she seemed to recall the scene again. Her cheeks puffed out angrily, turning back to accuse me. "No one has ever disliked me so much. You don't like me, so I won't like you either." I felt a bit embarrassed. That day at lunch in the cafeteria, I thought I'd been discreet. Zoe had sat down opposite me with her bowl. Without looking at me, she just mumbled, "They're too noisy. Only asking about my uncle." I moved my tray aside to make room for her. But within half a minute, Zoe's smartwatch rang. It was Ethan calling. Instinctively guilty, I shoveled down the rest of my meal and ran off. I couldn't explain, so I looked at her seriously. Word by word, I said. "Well, teacher was wrong. I'll definitely eat with you from now on, and I'll see you off after class too. But I really don't dislike Zoe." The girl turned half her face. Her profile was chubby, a bit like Crayon Shin-chan. "Really?" Princess Zoe asked with hauteur. "Really," I promised. She stretched out both hands to me, her face expressionless. "Then carry me. Zoe's leg hurts." The scrape on her knee became visible. I picked her up and took her to the office to disinfect and bandage it first. Then we returned to the classroom, and I made the boy who knocked her over apologize. Zoe blinked at me, a small smile playing on her lips. It was a signal of truce. During lunch break, I looked through Zoe's file again. My gaze froze on the birth date. Today was her birthday. Her gloominess all day probably had something to do with this too. I remembered the bunny pattern on her pencil case and the bunny keychain on her backpack. Before class ended, I quickly knitted a mini lop-eared bunny plushie. Its dress was similar to what Zoe was wearing today. She finished her in-class assignment 10 minutes earlier than the other students. I called her out and gave her the plushie. "Student Zoe, happy birthday." She stared blankly for 2 seconds. "Is this bunny me?" I smiled and nodded. "As cute as you." "Thank you, Teacher June. I like it." The little girl accepted it with reserve, her expression barely changing. "You're welcome. Go back to the classroom." She took 2 steps, then turned back. "Bend down." She beckoned to me. I obediently crouched down. "What is it? Do you have something else to tell, teacher?" The next second, the girl's soft lips touched my cheek. "This is the first present Zoe got today. And it's my favorite." She snuggled close to me, her eyes shining brightly. "Teacher June, do you think my uncle is handsome? I can give you his phone number. Consider it a thank you gift for the bunny." The warmth that had just bloomed in my heart froze instantly. And no, that's okay. Finding out Ethan wasn't picking her up that night, I agreed to Zoe's request to see her off. But at the institution's entrance, seeing the man leaning against the Maybach felt like a bolt from the blue. "Uncle, why are you picking me up today?" The man slowly shifted his gaze from my face. He glanced at Zoe. "To take you for your birthday, kid." "Yay!" The girl jumped up and down. I forced myself to speak. "Hello, Zoe's guardian eye." "What a surprise." He interrupted me, smiling. "Liam mistreats his woman, making her go out to work. To prevent him from mentioning me to Liam and causing misunderstandings later." I explained proactively. "I've already left the Liam residence. And working has nothing to do with Mr. Liam." Ethan's gaze sharpened slightly. "Because of Sophia? They bullied you?" I didn't want to discuss this with Ethan and pretended not to hear. "If Mr. He doesn't have any questions about Zoe, I'll head back to the office now." Zoe waved her little hand in confusion. "Bye, teacher." I waved back, "Bye." Turning to leave, I still felt an intense, unavoidable stare on my back. 20 minutes later, when I got off work. As I stepped out of the institution, that Maybach was still parked at the entrance. The car window rolled down. Ethan rested his hand on the steering wheel, tilted his head, and said coolly, "The little girl is throwing a tantrum, demanding you come celebrate her birthday with her." I looked at Zoe in the back seat. She tilted her head. "Uncle, didn't you say?" Ethan clicked his tongue softly, interrupting. "Can't park here. Get in first, then we'll talk." Afraid my hesitation would get him a ticket, I hurriedly got in. But seeing Ethan's slightly upturned lips in the rearview mirror, I realized belatedly. The car had been parked there for ages. If it were going to be ticketed, it would have happened already. I wanted to find a chance to ask Ethan to drop me off at any intersection. But Zoe wrapped her arms around mine and snuggled closer. This birthday isn't just me and Uncle anymore. The word stuck in my throat, unspoken. Throughout the meal, Zoe was all smiles. The complete opposite of her mood that morning. Maybe the excitement wore her out. She fell asleep leaning on me during the ride home. The man glanced at me in the rearview mirror, speaking softly. Her parents are always abroad with their company, not deeply attached to her, unwilling to waste time coming back to see her. They even forgot today was her birthday. Ethan unusually shed his carefree demeanor. June, thank you for the gift and for celebrating her birthday with her. The girl was sound asleep, making soft snoring sounds. I raised my hand and gently brushed her cheek. Softly, I said. I like Zoe. Playing with her makes me happy too. The car moved steadily. The latter half of the ride was so quiet you could hear the tires on the road. I gazed blankly at the neon lights flashing past outside the window. Suddenly, life felt incredibly dramatic. Leo, whom I'd loved with all my might for 6 years, didn't even want me at his birthday. Yet this little girl I'd only known for a month held the gift I gave her so preciously, calling it her favorite. The car slowed. My thoughts gradually returned. Ethan stopped at the foot of my apartment building. I gently put Zoe down, said goodbye, and got out. Ethan got out too, calling me from behind. June. I turned around. Is there something else? The man's dark eyes were unreadable. Stop liking Liam. He's not good to you. I stood there dumbfounded, not expecting him to say something like that. By the time I snapped out of it, the car had already driven off, only its taillights visible. I realized a moment too late. Ethan didn't dislike me so much anymore. After that, Ethan was almost always the one picking Zoe up after school. The other female teachers noticed and scrambled to volunteer for after-school dismissal duty. I stayed in the office to grade paintings. One evening after work, the familiar Maybach appeared at the entrance again, looking through the window into the car. Zoe wasn't there. Probably Ethan had taken her home first and then come back. He got out and slammed the car door. Pursing his lips, he stared at me gloomily. Do you hate me that much? Don't want to see me? I wasn't sure if it was my imagination, but the nearly 6 feet 2 inches man before me seemed hurt? I slowly uttered, huh? These past few days, haven't you been avoiding coming out because I was picking up Zoe? I shook my head and explained the reason. Student dismissal duty hasn't been assigned to me these days. Ethan scoffed, as if saying, yeah, right. But quickly, his face still cool, he added, I've been waiting for you all this time. Haven't eaten anything. Starving. I looked at him blankly. Why were you waiting for me? None of your business. He bristled instantly. I wanted to wait. I got tangled in his assertive tone and momentarily thought it really was my fault. Hesitantly, I asked, then maybe I could buy you dinner? Ethan smoothly turned and opened the passenger door for me. Get in. The reservation is in half an hour. We'll get there right on time. Me? ? The car stopped in front of a restaurant. I was about to open the door when Leo came into view. Beside him were Liam and Sophia. Leo was talking to a girl his age. The girl asked, Leo, is this your mommy? Wow, she's as pretty as a star. Leo's lips trembled, seeming unsure how to answer. The girl tilted her head, puzzled. But I remember a kind of plain-looking auntie came to pick you up from school once. So which one is really your mommy? So this was why Leo never wanted me to pick him up. At the Liam residence, I didn't go out much. So I paid even less attention to my appearance. I usually wore comfortable clothes, quite plain. Only once, when the driver was off, I went to pick him up. He sulked at me for a long time after coming back. Hearing this, Leo immediately grabbed Sophia's hand. Of course this is my mommy. The one last time was my family's nanny auntie. His voice grew softer towards the end. Sophia tacitly accepted the title, squatting down with a smile to greet the girl. Liam frowned slightly, seeming to want to say something, but remained silent. A light laugh sounded beside me. Ethan narrowed his eyes. June, you gave birth to an ingrate. This scene, while expected, was still hard to witness calmly. I withdrew my gaze and asked softly, "Can we go eat somewhere else?" But wait a moment. Ethan unbuckled his seatbelt and got out. He walked up to Liam and the others just as the little girl had left. What a coincidence, President Liam. Having dinner with your girlfriend and son? Liam's expression was cold. None of your business, young master he. Ethan was relaxed, unfazed by his words. Don't be so tense, President Liam. I just wanted to congratulate you and Miss Sophia on your upcoming nuptials. He smiled. By the way, I heard June has completely separated from you all. That's good too. Not only are you two freed, she is too. She's only 27, still young. She'll marry someone more suitable later. Maybe have a cuter child. Probably happier than she was with you. Hearing my name, Leo looked up at him. Liam lifted his chin slightly, his gaze scrutinizing. Ethan, what exactly are you trying to say? The atmosphere grew tense. Ethan seemed oblivious. He looked down at Leo. Hey, kid. Don't think it's just you abandoning your mom. She's abandoning you too. Remember, she will never love you again. Ethan sneered derisively, turned, and got back in the car. Through the window, I saw Leo abruptly let go of Sophia's hand. He looked bewildered, half understanding. Ethan and I ended up eating wontons at a stall near my apartment. I fiddled with my spoon. Thank you for today. Don't just say it, show it. My mind flashed through gold, diamonds, sports cars, mansions, things I couldn't afford, and I asked without much confidence. What do you want? He gestured with his chin towards my bowl. Still hungry, give me a few of your wontons. Easy to please. I scooped 3 plump wontons into his bowl and generously added, if it's not enough, you can order another bowl. It's enough. The glass door of the shop kept opening and closing as customers came and went, squeezing in gusts of the chilly spring night breeze. But dissolved by the lively atmosphere, it felt less biting. Until the end of the winter break. Unconsciously, I had eaten several meals with Ethan. Sometimes Zoe joined us. The night before Zoe's new semester started, Ethan called me. The school suddenly notified me there's a parents' meeting tomorrow. But I'm at a branch company in another city, dealing with an emergency. Can't get away at all. Can you go to the school for me tomorrow? Zoe attended the same elementary school as Leo. I couldn't help but hesitate. Faintly, from the receiver, came the sound of his assistant urging him to a meeting. I took a deep breath and agreed. It couldn't be that coincidental, being in the same class as Leo, right? Before bed, I inexplicably remembered Leo's conversation with the little girl outside the restaurant. I opened my wardrobe, my fingers brushing past each piece of clothing. Then stopped at a cool-toned white coat. I put away the heavy parka I'd planned to wear the next day. The parents' meeting was before dismissal in the afternoon. At noon, I changed into the high heels I hadn't worn in ages and booked an appointment at a salon for hair and makeup. 2 hours later, I arrived at the school gate. The meeting started in 15 minutes. I called Zoe. I'm here, what class are you in? Teacher, I'll come out to get you. Wait for me. Several students were standing at the school gate, probably waiting for parents. My gaze swept a corner and landed on Leo. He saw me too, frowned and ran over. Mommy, what are you doing here? I told Daddy I wanted Aunt Sophia to come to my parents' meeting today. I already told my classmates my mommy is a dancer. Only Aunt Sophia can dance. He waved both hands outward, annoyed. Hurry back home, Mommy. Don't let my classmates see you. Teacher June. Zoe waved at me from not far away. I raised my head. Coming. Leo looked at Zoe, then back at me, looking confused. Mommy, you. I said, I'm here for her parents' meeting. Leo froze. I thought about it but felt no need for further explanation. Silently, I walked around him towards Zoe. Zoe, what class are you in? Class 1. My smile faltered. The same class as Leo. That meant I'd see Sophia too. Before entering the classroom, Zoe and I rehearsed our story. I'd be introduced as her aunt. I arrived relatively early. Not many parents were in the classroom yet. Several children crowded around. Wow, Zoe, your aunt is so pretty. She smells like sweet grape juice too. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. At least I wasn't a burden to Zoe. She didn't look particularly satisfied. Instead, she sighed and murmured, "Ah, Teacher June, you're so beautiful. My uncle is even less worthy of you now?" No. She seemed to have misunderstood something. I was about to explain when I caught sight of Leo walking in alone from the corner of my eye. He looked at me quietly, then lowered his head and went to his seat. The boy's chubby hands were folded on the desk, his head resting sideways on his arms. It was his posture when he was feeling down. The parents' meeting started. The homeroom teacher stood at the podium and asked Leo, "Leo, has your guardian arrived?" He stood up, his small frame exuding loneliness. He instinctively turned to look at me. Zoe happened to snuggle into my arms, showing me her test scores from last semester. Distracted, I praised her softly. "Zoe is the best at everything." When I looked up again, Leo had already turned back. Head bowed, he didn't answer the teacher, his pale fingers lightly picking at the edge of his desk. The teacher sighed helplessly, "I'll call your guardian." Neither Liam nor Sophia showed up. Throughout the process, Leo remained quiet, buried in his notebook, drawing. As if isolated from everything. The parents' meeting ended. I helped Zoe pack her things, and we walked towards the school gate. On the way, I got a call from Ethan. "I'm at the school gate. Free. Teacher June? Let me buy you dinner as thanks for helping." I asked, "Is the company matter resolved?" He lazily grunted an affirmation. Came straight over after getting off the highway. His laugh held a barely noticeable weariness. Zoe ran out, saw Ethan, and flew towards him, hugging his leg. "Uncle!" The man paused when he saw me. He cleared his throat, his voice cool. "Quite pretty." I stared at his bright red ears, stepping closer to him. Ethan seemed uncomfortable. What? "Your ears are so red, and your face is a bit too," I observed. "Are you sick from exhaustion? If you're not feeling well, we can skip dinner today." Ethan looked at me steadily for 2 seconds. The redness visibly drained from his ears. He criticized me flatly. "Wouldn't June, you talk too much. Get in the car." I was about to get in. A familiar, tear-choked voice came from behind. "Daddy, is Mommy really not wanting Leo anymore?" I turned around. Liam stood in the cold wind, staring at me indifferently. Beside him was Leo, eyes red and swollen. Liam's gaze swept over the three of us, and he nodded. "Went to be someone else's stepmom." "June, you're quite something." Zoe wagged her finger. "Not my stepmom. But maybe my aunt." I turned back, confused, to look at Ethan. He leaned lazily against the car, smiling somewhat wickedly. "Wasn't me who said it. Why are you looking at me?" "Me. Mommy." Leo called out timidly. The light atmosphere vanished instantly. He looked at me pleadingly. Leo is sick, his throat hurts. Tears clung to his long lashes, adorably heartbreaking. I said softly, "Daddy will take good care of you." Pausing, I added, "And Aunt Sophia too. But I want Mommy too." He let go of Liam's hand and ran up to me. He ingratiatingly held one of my fingers. Seeing I didn't push him away, he moved to hug me. "Mommy, feel Leo's forehead." I didn't give in. I took a step back, creating distance. Leo's arms hung frozen in midair. "Leo, the day I left, we made an agreement. From then on, I'm not your mommy anymore." Ethan examined his expression with a detached air and laughed. "Kid, that day you said your mommy was the nanny auntie." She heard it. The boy's face turned deathly pale. The school entrance bustled with people coming and going, filled with laughter. Most parents were celebrating promotions or planning their children's futures. Only Leo and I remained, pitifully staring at each other in silence. That night at home, I received a call from Liam. "Are you with Ethan?" To avoid misunderstanding and causing trouble for Ethan, I clarified. "No," I said, "but it has nothing to do with you either." After a long silence, The other end suddenly spoke. Sophia and I were never together. She just returned from abroad not long ago. She sought me out just to borrow my connections and resources. That hot search photo was a trick of perspective. We didn't kiss. Having been with Liam for nearly 6 years. As Leo grew, Liam and I gradually reconciled. He once drove 500 kilometers through a rainstorm just to come back for my birthday. He also tacitly allowed people at his company to call me Mrs. Liam. But after Sophia returned from abroad, their interactions grew more frequent. Between him and me, only suspicion, arguments, and Cold Wars cycled endlessly. The day his kissing photo with Sophia hit the hot searches, I asked him for an explanation. But Liam just hooked his lips and retorted, "What's our relationship that I need to explain to you? You seem to have overstepped." So after that, no matter how out of line he and Sophia acted, I never asked again. Him suddenly clarifying now only left me baffled. I said, "Whatever stage you and Sophia reached, it has nothing to do with me." There was no need to tell me. Liam seemed to detect not a trace of resentment in my tone. His voice grew much hoarser. "June, come back. Let's get married, okay?" He sounded like he was mocking himself. "I fell for you a long time ago. I just never wanted to admit it." The same day witnessed 2 scenes of regret. I didn't know whether to marvel at how similar Liam and Leo were in this regard. I couldn't even muster surprise. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache. "Liam, why don't you first ask if I still like you, if I'm still willing to marry you?" Liam froze. I told him frankly, "Neither you nor Leo. I don't love either of you anymore." As the words fell, a rustling sound came through the receiver. Liam sounded a bit tense. "Leo, how long have you been listening at the door?" I guessed Leo probably overheard the conversation that night. I didn't see him for several days. Just when I thought we might have no further connection, Liam brought Leo to register for art classes at the institution. The institution's director pushed Leo's drawing in front of me, looking impressed. "Exceptionally talented. June, teach him well. We can send him to compete at the end of the year." I looked at his drawing without speaking. I'd once asked Leo if he was interested in drawing. But he said it was boring, not as interesting as Sophia dancing. "Aunt Sophia can lift her legs so high. Can you do that, Mommy?" I awkwardly said no, disappointing him. He shook his head and left. "Mommy, do you think Daddy didn't marry you because you weren't good enough for him?" The director handed Leo over to me to take to the classroom. In the hallway, he gently tugged my clothes. I turned around and met his apprehensive smile. "Daddy said my drawing talent comes from Mommy." I corrected him. "Leo, you can't call me Mommy." The boy's smile slowly faded. His fingers nervously picked at his pants seam. "Leo will be obedient, study drawing seriously, and won't disturb Mommy during class." "Can't I even call you Mommy?" His voice was soft, trembling. "Then will Leo have no Mommy from now on?" His eyes were red, yet he seemed afraid of annoying me, holding back tears. I paused, crouched down, and patiently explained. "No, I mean you can't call me Mommy during class. You have to call me teacher, like the other children." He sniffled and nodded emphatically. Leo remembers. Leo indeed had talent. During class, his in-class assignments often made me stop beside him for a closer look. But perhaps because I couldn't bring myself to treat him like an ordinary student, I hadn't even realized I rarely praised him. One class. A boy dropped his brush into the water bucket and raised his hand. "Teacher, come look, come look. I'm done." After gently correcting a small issue, I praised him. "You've made great progress, Xiaohong. Feels like you can get an even higher score next time." He puffed out his chest and firmly grunted in agreement. Zoe and other students raised their hands one after another. I commented and provided encouragement as I walked, finally reaching Leo's side. He held his paintbrush, looking up at me. I'm done too." I nodded. Meeting his barely concealed hopeful eyes, I said gently, "Very well done. Leo, you're improving quickly. Truly gifted." Shimmering lights sparkled in his eyes. "Yes, teacher." Leo will work even harder. Dark circles were beginning to show under his eyes. Moreover, His once smooth hands were now chapped and scratched. After some thought, I put it tactfully. Drawing is a gradual process. Don't rush it. His eyes curved into crescents. It's okay. Leo likes drawing. He refocused on his painting. I watched him quietly, feeling everything was misplaced. If the current Leo had loved the me from before, I wouldn't have endured so many days and nights of collapse, pain, and even jealousy over his affection for Sophia. And if the current me faced the cold Leo from before, I wouldn't have become so conflicted and tangled now. Liam would chat with me for a long time every week when picking Leo up after class. Coincidentally, it was always about Leo's drawing progress. I couldn't avoid answering. But Ethan was growing increasingly resentful. One evening, using celebrating Zoe scoring 93 on a math quiz as an excuse, he took Zoe and me to dinner at a newly opened restaurant. Ethan stabbed at his steak with a steak knife, his face dark. Liam's stocks will definitely crash tomorrow. Liam's stocks will definitely crash tomorrow. The steak was already mutilated. Mourning the steak for a second, I cautiously asked, "Can I ask why you dislike Liam so much?" Zoe deadpanned, sighing like an old soul. "Because Uncle likes you, Teacher June." The air froze. My thoughts short-circuited. Ethan threw down his knife with a clatter, questioning Zoe. "What nonsense are you spouting, kid?" I saw his neck rapidly flushing, the redness spreading to his ears. Not sure if it was from embarrassment. I stammered, trying to smooth things over. "It's okay, I can pretend I didn't hear." Despairingly, I realized I was also terribly nervous. My first instinct was to flee. I stood up. "I'm done eating, I'll head home first." I walked quickly out of the restaurant. Ethan caught up and blocked my path. "June, you can't pretend you didn't hear." He stood there with his increasingly red ears. His voice sounded clearer in the evening breeze. "I do like you. I liked you even when you were with Liam." His tone carried a hint of emotion. "Even though you were a lovesick fool before and pissed me off endlessly, I still inexplicably fell for you." I didn't know what to say, stunned beyond belief. Staring at his shoulder level, I mumbled, "Thank you for liking me." "I never realized. I always thought you disliked me." Ethan folded his arms, acting as if it were routine. "Yeah, normal. You're a bit slow. Back when I told you to look at other people, you seriously said, 'Okay,' and I thought you understood what I meant." Recalling the past, he scoffed. "That night, I waited for your call all night. I'd even ordered flowers to bring you the next day. Finally, nothing happened." I remembered that time. After Ethan told me to look at other people, he fiddled with his tie, lifted his chin. Like a handsome rooster. He meant for me to look at him. So cryptic. Why not just say it? Ethan cleared his throat, pulling me back from the memory. He said with resignation, "Though I already know the answer. But I'll ask properly anyway. June, want to date me?" My thoughts hadn't returned to normal. I instinctively refused. "I'm sorry, I'm not considering these things for now." Ethan calmly said, "Oh, okay, it's no big deal, don't worry about it. Come on, I'll drive you home." I was surprised by his nonchalance. Back home, I was still secretly marveling at how easily Ethan seemed to let go. Then, a notification chimed. It was a voice message from Zoe. "Teacher June, Uncle seems to be having a breakdown. He bought a bunch of onions, locked himself in the kitchen chopping them, his eyes all red. Obviously crying, but says it's the onions. Men are so contrary." Zoe seemed more mature than him. At the same moment, Ethan's message popped up. "Do you really not like me at all? Then could you start trying to look at me from now on? I still want to try," flops over. His words radiated a man's awkward childishness. Scenes of Ethan from the past resurfaced. Like the time Liam abandoned me at a club. Ethan, for some reason passing by, drove me home with a cold expression. There were many similar instances. I had recovered from the brain freeze caused by his earlier confession. Some feelings were becoming clearer. Holding my phone, I typed slowly. "It's not that I don't like you at all." I took a deep breath and hit send. He replied instantly, ? Account hacked. The already faint romantic atmosphere vanished instantly. Comparing Ethan to a dog felt completely fitting for a husky. His call followed immediately. I answered. Was what you just said true? His words tumbled out quickly. I murmured an affirmative. June, can you say it out loud? He dragged out the words, sounding like he was wheedling. Saying it over the phone was easier than in person. Curled on the sofa, hugging a pillow, hiding the lower half of my face in the pillow, I whispered into the receiver. I actually like you a little bit. After a few seconds of silence, Ethan said, Damn, I won't sleep tonight. Want to come find you? Can I come find you? No. I was adamant. Ethan, oh sad face. After that, Ethan seemed like a peacock spreading its feathers every day. Handsome and eye-catching. After work, stepping out of the institution, he handed me a bouquet of asters. Mentioning casually, Notice anything? Liam hasn't been bothering you lately. Holding the flowers, I looked at him sideways. What did you do? Ethan raised an eyebrow. Reminded his mother he should get married. Liam should be, he did a quick mental calculation, currently being forced to go on his 11th blind date. Such tactics were so Ethan. Actually, he never mentioned dating again after that night. Nor did he ask when I'd agree. He just warmly, yet without pressure, infused his affection into my daily life. As if silently saying, It's okay, you can take it slow. I'm waiting for you to emerge from the shadow of your past. But don't forget, I'm liking you more every day. Leo didn't stay long at the art classes. The reason he left was a fight with Zoe. Leo suddenly tore Zoe's drawing, and when she tried to save it, he chomped down hard on her arm. Zoe buried herself in my arms crying, her arm trembling with pain. I pressed my lips together. Leo, come apologize. I'd never used such a stern tone with him before. He stared at me dazedly. Tears welled up in his eyes, and he began crying too. Mommy, Leo didn't do anything wrong. She's a thief. She stole Mommy's picture. That's why Leo tore her drawing. The theme for that day's in-class drawing was, My Mommy. Zoe, still sobbing, explained she couldn't remember what her mommy looked like. I was the person closest to a mommy in her life. So like Leo she had drawn me. Leo clenched his little fists at his sides, his stance unyielding. She can't draw that. Only Leo can. He still believed he was right. Zoe's bite needed immediate attention. I didn't argue about right or wrong. Picking Zoe up, I headed to the infirmary. Leo seemed to have developed a psychological fear of me leaving. Seeing me go, he panicked immediately, chasing after me with little running steps, crying in gasps. Mommy, Leo's sorry. Don't be mad, don't go, okay? He followed all the way to the infirmary. With tear-streaked cheeks, he apologized to Zoe, then clumsily rolled up his sleeve, offering her his arm. Why, you can bite Leo back. Sorry, Leo shouldn't have torn your picture. Leo won't ever do it again, sorry Zoe. I sighed and led him to an empty classroom. He sobbed uncontrollably, no longer speaking. He just called my name helplessly, over and over. I patted his back gently until he calmed down. He seemed to sense something, gradually stopping his crying. His little hand held my index finger, whispering, Leo being here seems to bother Mommy. I wiped his tears, only saying, Leo, you really might not be suited for studying drawing here. Our teacher-student relationship, our mother-son bond, weren't pure. Staying would only make things more strained. He nodded, still hiccuping slightly. But his tone was steady. Leo understands. Then, when Leo misses Mommy, can Leo come visit Mommy? He hastily waved his hands to add, not often. Maybe once a month. No, once every half year. His eyes trembled, as if worried his request was too much. I finally nodded. Okay. He smiled, but the sadness remained. Then, one last hug, Leo wants to hug Mommy. I drew him into my arms. The boy rested his head on my shoulder, his voice feather-light. As if afraid to disturb this fragile dream. Leo hopes Mommy's future child will be good, will be obedient. Most importantly, Must love mommy very, very much. Spring bursts with vitality. Parting during this season only amplified the pain of letting go. One day, Liam came to pick up Leo after a long absence. He had the driver take Leo to the car before speaking. The overseas branch is facing a serious crisis. It's hard to resolve. I'm taking Leo to immigrate. We won't be back for several years. His lashes lowered, veiling all emotion. June. I'm sorry for these past years. I've transferred all my domestic properties, over 20 places, to your name. Lawyers will contact you to sign the papers in the next few days. Consider it compensation. Don't refuse. I didn't have such high material desires, but having financial security was always good. After Liam left, Ethan became even more sought after. Every day he waited for me outside the institution. He was practically mobbed for his contact information. It was a very ordinary day. I got off work earlier. Zoe still had 20 minutes before dismissal. Ethan parked as usual at the entrance, head bowed, face stern as he tapped on his phone. Anyone would think he was handling important business. Simultaneously, my phone buzzed incessantly. I unlocked it and opened the notification window. The first message was a news link. Liam Group branch crisis worsens, situation grim, facing bankruptcy? Not dragging anyone, just stating facts. People with no ability are like that. Image. Oops, sent by mistake. This is my ranking on the National Personal Assets list. Compared to last year, it rose 3 spots. I think I deserve a well done. Suddenly, without much thought, I decided to date him. I walked towards Ethan. He was still focused on texting me. I tapped on his half-lowered car window. Want to date? The man didn't look up, rejecting with practiced ease. Sorry, I have a girl, his voice cut off. Ethan snapped his head up, looking annoyed. Thin lips pressed together. June, don't joke about things like this. I'm not joking. I looked at him seriously, slowly repeating. Want to date? He stared into my eyes. Finally, after a moment, he believed me. Pushed the car door open, got out, and bent down to hug me. Glad I waited. He added quietly. Waited until the day you truly saw me. When Zoe came out, he eagerly boasted. From now on, Teacher June is your aunt. Zoe threw me a look full of admiration. Teacher June, you really are a philanthropist. Me. Ethan? ? He sneered. Kid asking for a beating? Zoe shrank into her corner. Uncle, you have so many flaws. Teacher June being with you is charity. Ethan gritted his teeth, saying he'd find a place to park and teach her a lesson. Zoe threatened that if he dared hit her, she'd introduce me to their PE teacher. Resting my chin in my hand, I watched the two argue with a smile. At one point, I turned to look out the window. Vibrant green scenery rushed past, carried on waves of warm wind. It suddenly struck me. That harsh late winter was long gone.